the guy that organized it and lives in Scottsboro. I think he was from Bloomington.
Yeah, Jack. Jack Whitney.
I'd forgotten that we made the summary. It's a fairly good summary. Although I tried to do it again, and I got so carried away. It was several pages, and I thought this is crazy. Can't do that. So I was looking for look back here to see what we had told Jim McGough, and this was April of 2008. That pretty much summarizes what it is that we have to do. So now we need to decide. I guess we have 2 or 3 things that we really have to accomplish. We have to understand what all the people's needs are. Either our task says to go to each one of them and understand it directly. We tried to get that information from the package that we sent out to them, asking them for data. We get some pretty good data. Some others have some holes in it. We need to decide whether we want to fill in those holes from information that we already have in hand from something else, or go back to them individually and ask them to fill them in so that they know, so there's some intercourse between them and they understand how the information is going to get in the summary that Dan's made, or the summary that we already have in our book. That's tough to read in the book. And then we have to decide what our role should be, whether it ought to be to try to facilitate other companies to get water to those other companies who have resources, to get water to those people who have water needs, or whether we want to be more actively involved in it, or just what our role should be. There are some different alternatives for us, none of which are clearly defined. We have to define it for ourselves. And so the reason I put all this stuff up here is so that we might review kind of what the resources are that we have now and what things are needed, or what information we got from the packages that were received, and then try to decide what direction we want to go and what message we want to put together from all this information that we now have. Maybe it's an overload of information, I don't know. But we had talked about going to talk to Jim McGough. I tried to reach him, but he was not in the office, and he indicated that he would return phone calls. So I left him a phone message, telling him that we were interested in knowing whether the budget committee had taken any action on the resolution that Indiana Finance Authority had sent over to them regarding a $2 million grant for Decatur County rural water. But I didn't talk about how do we approach you and when can we approach you or come and talk to you, because we don't have that plan in hand yet. So I thought if I got to talk to him on the phone that I could feel him out about that. I didn't want to leave it in a message, so it's a cold message, and there's no chance to have some interaction. But I didn't get an answer back. In the past, sometimes I've gotten a car phone message while he's driving home at 6 or 6:30 or something like that, but I couldn't get any messages this time. So how should we review all this? If we look at our packages, we only have a few places that are using groundwater, that are receiving groundwater and drinking it. See, one of those places is St. Paul, up here. Another place is Greensburg. Part of their water is groundwater and part of it's surface water. And then JNRU, I didn't even mark them there, but it's right in this area, isn't it?
Yeah.
it's all groundwater from Jennings Water. That's their sole source is Jennings Water, and so Jennings Water is all groundwater. So those three places are using groundwater. Are there any other places that you can think of that use groundwater that I'm not thinking about? We know that some part of Jennings County down here in the southwest corner is. Don't know what their capabilities are, how far up they come. Do you know how far they come, Dan?
They come up as far as like Comiskey area, on the south side there.
There's Comiskey. They don't have a water tower up here someplace. I guess that's all flat. No, they don't.
I'm not sure where
Where's
they're at.
Canyon's water?
Maybe it's right there.
There's a tower at Lovett. Where's that water coming from?
Pardon me?
Anderson, too.
There is a tower at Lovett.
Okay, that's probably just
There's a tower
No, I'd hope to be able to talk with him and see their piping system so we'd have some knowledge about what area is covered here by groundwater from them.
Yeah, well, they did.
They do. I know they do some surface water. I don't know how much, or if they're still using some. They used to pump some from Lake Hart because they just purchased those wells out of Marble Hill probably 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe.
You think they're mixing it?
I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you.
Hardy Lake is right in here somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
In Scott County. And then the other side is Hoosier Hills. Are they actually providing any water in Ripley County? Or do they just have emergency connections? I know they have an emergency connection to Osgood, or maybe it's not an emergency connection, but it is a connection.
They go to Martha Creek. Martha Creek towards Milan is their area.
Yeah, that's actually their original.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Here's the Ripley County line. And when I looked at this the other day, I'd forgotten that.
All their water's coming from Brookville.
First service in Milan, Pierceville, probably.
See where it says State Town, Brookville up there? Like their pumping site is.
It says their wells are right there.
They use
on the right water.
So in the eastern side of Ripley County, then, we have groundwater from Hoosier Hills. I don't believe there were any particular complaints about the groundwater, except that JNRU said that Jennings water has too much chlorine in it, and they won't reduce the amount of chlorine for some reason, whatever reason, I don't know.
We gotta get to the end of the systems. You have to keep it fairly high in order to get to the ends of your systems. If you're spread out, it evenly.
I don't know how far they go. Do they only go to Scipio, or do they go beyond Scipio?
Northwest.
Yeah.
I would say that's about as far as they go. I'm not sure. They go east all the way like to Nebraska.
They go that far east. Their water tower is right here.
Yeah, they've got one in Nebraska as well.
This is at the fairgrounds, just east of the fairgrounds in Jennings County. Or they just go straight out, about. Is that how they get to Nebraska, or do you know?
What was the question, Dave?
Do they just go straight across there, about, in order to get to Nebraska, or do they wind around the country a lot in order to get here?